carved in oak, and though he claimed it was bespoke, some just passed it as a joke, for it was made in China. A Welshman then sheared off his arse somewhere near Llanberis Pass, and his new one shone like burnished brass as he drove his Morris Minor. My grandfather convulsed in fits at the mention of bionic tits. It's said that they restored his wits by feeding him bananas. My father claimed a rod of iron, although it might have been a try-on, but he often roared just like a lion whilst wearing striped pyjamas. And so I ponder on the arts of reinventing body parts, just where it ends and where it starts in ploughing all these furrows. And remember good old Steely Dan, that body part without a man. I'll use that any time I can, so thank you, William Burroughs. This is about celebrity chefs. I'm eating a magpie sandwich, though some of you might think that's strange, but you call me a brute if I ate it en croûte, or possibly slightly deranged. I offered a piece to Greg Wallace. He said, "Are you taking the piss? When it comes to eating sandwiches, they don't get tougher than this." Young Michel Roux thought he knew what to do and proceeded to coat it with lard. He'd have served you with kale and a pint of brown ale if he hadn't been Michelin-starred. Heston Blumenthal replied with a snarl he'd surrounded with toad spawn mist, whilst providing a coulis of kangaroo's goolie for a southern hemisphere twist. Jamie Oliver thought I should stew it with port to give it a Moorish feel, whilst baking the feet with fennel and beet and reserving the beak as a tweel. Fernley Whittingstall didn't like it at all. He said it just wouldn't be right. And then he offered an otter stuffed into a pig's trotter, so I gave Luis Suarez a bite. So I'm eating a magpie sandwich, and then if that isn't enough, I might have a linnet if I can just skin it and top it all off with a chuff. This is Chavas Park. Like characters transformed, transposed from a Beckett play, they sit in the grand circle, hoods up, heads down, earphones in, text, smoke, smoke, drink, text, smoke, text, drink, stink. Oblivious of the spring sunshine, wordless, foams rustle. All far enough apart to ensure mutual anonymity. The girls arrive, brash and flaccid, earphones in, bags down, arses in, arses down, fags out, phones out, heads down, text, smoke, text, smoke, smokes, text, smoke, wordless, foams, rustle. Out of the pristine spring blue, the great black-backed gull descends like Godot into the midst of the silent sitters, lands, struts disdainfully for a few moments, turns, then with a crackle of spreading flight feathers, reclaims the sky. Nothing for me here. Nothing, foams, rustle. My darling kept a starling. She insisted on calling it Ted. I came home from the match, it was eating my stash, so I shot the bugger dead. Well, we had to give it a funeral. It seemed like the decent thing. But just as I was reading the eulogy, all his mates began to sing, and they sang such a mournful ditty, it made me want to cry, as in solemn lamentation they processed across the sky. And then every one of them crapped on me, every single bird, until to a casual passerby I must have looked like a walking turd. Then my darling bought an albatross. It's a kind of big seagull, and the damn thing landed on my head and nearly cracked my skull. Now my darling keeps a minor bird. He's a much more cultured fella. But if anybody mentions starlings, I just dive for my umbrella.